Hi, how are you today?
I'm good. How are you?
Good, good. My name's Hope, and how do you prefer to be called?
Sam.
Sam. Okay, it's so nice to meet you.
You too.
I'm glad to have you here today. I get to meet you on your last meeting.
Yeah.
So
Yay.
I am brand new to the team.
Really?
Yeah, it's my
Oh
second week
goodness.
here at the organization.
Wow.
So yeah, so I
Fantastic.
get to meet with you for your last meeting.
Do you like working here? How have you liked
I
it
do
so
so
far?
far. Yeah, it's definitely a different experience than what I'm used to. But
Yeah.
yeah, but it's good. So
Good deal.
yeah, how have you liked it here? Have you
Yeah.
overall liked it pretty much?
I have. It's been a really interesting and long experience. I mean, I've been here for 12 months.
Okay.
It is my last meeting, and this is about as long as the program goes.
Okay.
But it's been really good. I feel like they've helped me out in so many ways. I can't even express how far I feel like I've come through their program. I mean, it's helped me so much.
That's
It's
awesome.
It's been a very good experience.
I'm so glad to hear that.
Yeah.
Well, I do need to have you sign something for me. I think
Yeah.
you probably signed it in one of your first meetings, but since I'm a new person,
Mm-hmm.
it's just called informed consent. It
Okay.
just basically gives me permission to treat you today and
Right.
if ever in the future.
Yeah,
If you don't mind
you did
signing that,
sign
is that okay with
these.
you?
Yeah, that's fine.
If you would just sign that for me.
Since it is the last one, I don't want to mess anything up. That's
Right,
fine.
you don't wanna-
Yeah.
I want to finish the program with a
Right.
bang. So my role today is basically just to kind of gather information about how you feel you've done in the program, how the program has gone for you,
Yeah.
how you feel about the staff that you've worked with, and then to set some specific goals for you for the near future to
Okay.
help you continue on your path to actual success.
Yes.
So just to start out, I would love to hear about how you think, where you come from, a little bit about yourself, and then hear about a little bit about the process that you've gone through.
Oh, that's a good one.
If you don't mind.
Yeah, it's okay. So, where I come from. Well, I kind of came up here from South America, Guatemala to be exact, about 10 years ago.
Okay.
I was looking for a better life. In Guatemala I was okay, but I'd heard so much about the American dream that I wanted to come up here and achieve it for myself. And so that's what I did. I moved to America. But that's about as far as it got in the American dream. I got involved with some not so great people. And I got involved in drugs and a lot of alcohol. I wasn't very familiar with the American culture or really anything about America. So the people I fell in, that's it, So I was involved in drugs and alcohol for really up until now. And I had an apartment for a couple of years, and then when I got involved with all of these drug dealers, the drug kind of scene, they came over to my apartment a lot, and the landlord did not like that, so they gave me a notice, and I got evicted, and was on the streets for a long time, and then I actually was sent to jail for a couple of months because of some drug-related charges. And one of the people working in the jail that I was at sent a referral over to this organization, and that's how I got involved in the program here. And we've been able to, I was able to get into this short-term shelter. It's kind of like a in-between place. Like I can stay there a couple of months, but at some point I have to get out, and I'm fairly sure the time is drawing near where I need to find something else. So I've been there for a couple of months. My substance abuse, it's not where I'd like it to be. We've been doing some harm reduction measures, and they've worked, but I would just like to be sober at some point. I've decreased my alcohol consumption quite a bit, so that's good. I can now remember some things from my days.
Yeah.
So that's good. So that's kind of where I'm at, where I've come. The program has helped me a lot with decreasing my substance abuse, being able to realize, that the people in my life affect my use as well. They're not very positive influences on my life. So that's part of it, yeah.
That's great.
Yeah.
That's good to hear that you're realizing those things. And, that's a big part of the process, I think.
Yeah, definitely.
So what I'm hearing from you in terms of things that you'd like to continue working on are continued and advanced sobriety, eventually completely.
Yes.
Getting some stable housing.
Yeah.
And is getting a job in there anywhere, or is that not as much of a priority for you?
No, I think that I think those three kind of go hand in hand. I think housing is first, and then a job and sobriety, I think,
come next.
Yeah, I think I can hopefully work on those two at the same time.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
definitely want all three of those are very big goals of mine. I want to get a job to pay for my housing, and I want to be sober to maintain a job to pay for my housing.
Right.
So it's kind of like a multi-layered cake there.
So in terms of the goals that you feel like you've accomplished in the last 12 months, can you kind of point those out for me and let me know what? Because I've got listed goals that your team has set aside, but I'd love to hear from your perspective what you feel like your biggest achievements have been since you've been in our program.
I've actually cut out several very negative people in my life that were not beneficial to anything in terms of my search for sobriety. So I've been able to get away from many of my old friends that were very big providers in drugs and alcohol. I've gotten to the semi-permanent housing, this in-between house. And I've learned some things there. I've learned English to the point where I'm at now. We've been enrolled in English classes. I've been in an English class pretty much since the beginning. And in the English class, I've learned, obviously, English and some of the culture, the laws, regulations, and some of the history, which has been very, very interesting and fascinating for such a newer country comparatively. So
your English is incredible, by the way.
Well, thank you.
My compliments.
Worked very hard on that. That is something, before I wasn't able to really hold any substantial jobs because I didn't know English very well. Communication a lot of times was just nonverbal, so hand gestures and things like that, or very broken English that I'd picked up. In Guatemala, when I grew up, English wasn't taught like it is today, in different countries. So it was purely Guatemalan that I learned, and English was not taught. So
right.
Most of what I've learned has been in the past year, and then what I picked up on the streets.
And Spanish is so different from English too. It's just so It's I've heard English is one of the hardest languages to learn. And I can't imagine.
Yeah, it's very difficult. Very difficult. There's, so many rules that really aren't rules. They're just things that I don't know, that came about, but like the I before E except after C, that's a lot.
So many things are spelled the same way but pronounced completely differently, or just
silent letters.
Words that sound similar are spelled with so many different letters.
Yes.
like thought and through are just,
oh my
there
goodness.
are a couple of letters different,
Yes.
and they are just so drastically differently pronounced. So
That is very true. English is very difficult, but
it's so impressive how quickly you've picked it up.
thank you. I'm very proud of that.
Yeah.
I'm very proud of that.
So my next question was going to be about your work skills from both from Guatemala and from American jobs. What kinds of jobs have you held, and what kind of job skills can you claim on resumes, such as English?
Yeah. In Guatemala, I really worked on farms most of my young adult life. I did a lot of gardening work, some housework for some of the local people who are able to afford people to do housework.
Sure.
So there's a little bit of that. And then the last job I had in Guatemala, I had for about 10 years. I was actually a cook in one of the local restaurants. So I really enjoyed that job. I like cooking, and that's something we talked about previously through this program, is things that I'd like to, be able to pursue job-wise. And I would love to be a chef or, something in a nice restaurant. I want to cook. I really enjoyed that in Guatemala, and I think I lost sight of, that dream through my drug abuse. That's all I wanted was drugs, and that's something I want to get over.
Right.
Is the constant craving for drugs, and instead put all of that energy and effort towards something else, like a career in cooking or something.
Yeah, that would be awesome. So you're interested in pursuing cooking specifically?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, that's something I'd like to pursue.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, so those goals again that you're looking at are housing, sobriety, and work.
Yeah.
And with work, more cooking education in terms of, I think that if you were to go to a cooking school, which, might be a little bit difficult because of the cost or requirements and things like that, that would be a good option for you so that you are more eligible and more likely to get a job in that field.
And a higher paying job.
Yeah, absolutely.
Other than just like flipping burgers in the back. I would like something that I can be proud of,
Yeah. And, be able to afford, buying a house eventually and things like that.
Yes.
Absolutely. And I do have a couple of options for that.
Really?
But like you said, housing is probably going to be your number one, so that you have a place to live.
Yeah. Very true.
So in terms of housing options, I do have a couple of ideas, but my first one is going to be to meet with this program called Housing First.
Yeah.
And they have got they've got quite a program going on where there's not a lot of requirements, so that you wouldn't have to wait however long it's going to take you to get sober completely to be able to live there, because sobriety is not a requirement of living there. So you'll have a place to live. Yeah.
Thank goodness.
Sobriety is quite a goal to bite off, and
that's a process. I mean, what we've learned, we've been discussing in this program is housing is important because it provides somewhere for me to stay, so I don't have to focus on my basic need of housing, and I can focus on sobriety.
Yeah, it's hard to get sober when you don't have a bed to sleep in at night. Yeah. So
and that helps you forget that you're living in the street, or you're sleeping under a bridge, or in a sewer pipe of sorts. It helps you forget all of that.
Absolutely.
So
I do have some information for you at the end of our meeting. I've got some contact numbers for you for them, and I have called them ahead of time and talked to them about setting up a meeting for you, so they know that you're coming. So,
that would be good.
Do you have access to a phone to call them? Okay.
I mean, the shelter I'm staying at might have a phone I could borrow.
Okay.
I'd have to ask them.
Yeah, either that, or we do have one here in office that you're welcome to use to call them and set up an appointment for sometime next week. Does that sound feasible to you? To set up an appointment for next week with them and just talk over the options and eligibility?
I think the sooner I do that, the better, because the longer I wait, the less likely I am to do it. I just learned that about myself. I will put it off and I'll forget about it, or I don't know.
Absolutely.
fresh in my mind and
priority.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I think the sooner I do that, the better.
Yeah, definitely.
So I can get that.
So I think that's going to be your best option for housing, and it's better that you do it now, both for personal reasons, but as well as just in case there's a waiting list of any kind. Being able to get in before being able to get in before your weight is up at the shelter that you're currently at.
I think that's a good idea. I hadn't thought about that.
So for sobriety, what kinds of things are you doing now to dwindle your substance abuse as well as to work on your addiction?
Yeah. We've done more of like a harm reduction approach. So I've just been trying to cut down a little bit, which is working, but mostly like working on an alcohol level. So like I don't drink as much alcohol as I did. So before this program, I was pretty much drunk all day, or I was drunk long enough. I'd be like high, and then when I started coming off of my high, I would get drunk. It was just like that kind of cycle.
Mm-hmm.
So now I might get drunk once or twice a week, which I think the harm reduction has really helped with that. So, but with the substance abuse, it's a little different. I was using a lot of different drugs. Sometimes I didn't even know what I was using, mm-hmm. but now it's just heroin.
Okay.
So that's been the one that's been really the only one I've really, really hung on to. So
okay,
that's what we've been doing now. And I like I said, a lot of the negative people in my life I cut out. I don't have a lot of contact with them, or my contact is much less. So that's been good and bad. I've lost
definitely.
A lot of friends that way.
Yeah.
Who have been with me since, I had just arrived in America. So that was kind of tough. And I don't have any family here.
Sure.
So.
Gotcha. Yeah. Well, I mean, every little bit, getting almost completely rid of the alcohol is a huge deal. Every bit is a big deal.
I'm very happy about that.
Yeah. Have you heard anything about Alcoholics Anonymous and Narcotics Anonymous?
They've mentioned the programs, but I really don't know much further than that they exist.
Okay. So they both are there for you, specifically people like you, actually, that kind of need a community, a bit of a community. So Alcoholics Anonymous is obviously for people who abuse alcohol, and then Narcotics Anonymous is for not just people who abuse narcotics, but also, I mean, really any drug use of any kind.
Yeah.
Including alcoholics.
Really?
So if you didn't want to go to two different meetings, you could just go to one or the other, because they're both really just for addicts in general. They've got 12-step programs that are focused on addicts and the way that your brain works and the way that you go about addiction and the way that you can go about recovering from it.
Yeah.
And it's run by other people who have addictions, and it's kind of just a support group type of a feel. They have them 7 days a week, so anytime that you feel triggered to use, whenever you are going through when you're going through recovery, you can go to one of those meetings. And after you've been going for a little bit, they'll set you up with a sponsor.
Really?
Mm-hmm. And you can make connections, and that sponsor will help you work through the program.
Okay. I was going to ask what the sponsors, what they do.
Yeah, they kind of help you work through the program. They've been through the program themselves.
Really?
And so they are...
they know.
Yeah, they do. They understand.
That's good.
They could be sober for 2 years. They could be sober for 25.
Yeah.
It just kind of depends. But the fact that they've been there before and can help you work through it.
I think that would be really good.
Yeah.
I would definitely like to investigate that, because
Yeah.
I don't have anybody other than, people currently
Sure.
using drugs as friends or somebody to talk to or even a support of some sort.
So the best way to set that up, and even if you can't make that meeting that day, you can still give them a call and let them know what you're struggling with, and they'll have usually a little tidbit to tell you to help motivate you or inspire you. And the meetings are set up every day so that you have that resource available to you.
That would be good.
Yeah, so that's definitely an option. The 12-step program is not an easy program, but it is a good one, and it's been proven to work for many people. So you show up to meetings. Usually they have coffee of some sort. Can't guarantee that it'll be good.
Oh, man.
But it's kind of just an open shares type of thing where you can talk, or you're not pressured to talk if you don't feel like it. And you just talk about your struggles. It shows you that not everybody's perfect, nobody's perfect, and that everybody in there is struggling with something similar to what you're struggling with.
I think that would be good. I'd be willing to.
Would you be willing to look into that? So I was thinking maybe in the next week you try it out once, and then if you feel the need to try it more than that, if you can try more than that, whenever you feel triggered, really at all, or if you're feeling sad or anything like that, it really is a good place to go and just have everybody come around you and talk about what you're going through.
Yeah. I think that would be, I would love to go to something like that.
Okay.
I want to pursue something that's in a, like harm reduction has just been kind of gradually try to get you to stop. I want something that, I think I need something more substantial.
Absolutely.
At this point,
that can tackle it head on instead of just kind of trying to minimize it.
I think that would be a good approach.
Absolutely.
For where I'm at now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, the information for the locations, I believe they have one in most counties. But the information for locations and contact numbers and things like that will be on that pamphlet with the Housing First information that I can give you at the end.
Right.
As far as work goes, though, for the cooking option, I do know of a place that's related to the kitchen, which is a shelter in our area. And it's actually it's a free program that they teach you how to cook.
Really?
Yeah, and
and it's free?
It is free, and it's connected to the shelter. And they have their own restaurant there that you can work in and learn as you go. And they have, you'll either serve or cook or both.
Yeah.
And people come in and eat like it's any other restaurant, and you can serve them and practice there. And then once you finish the program, oftentimes they have partnerships with other restaurants in the area, and they'll help you get jobs there so that by the end, you'll be qualified for that job, and you'll be more likely to get a job there. Would you be interested in that program?
Yes. I don't know if starting out right away
is
something that I don't know. I don't want to take on too much and then
not be able to handle it.
Yeah. We've talked a lot in the past about working my way up.
Yeah, baby steps.
Yeah, baby steps is a good way to put it. And so I think maybe doing the housing and the sobriety first, and then when I'm able to actually remember what I'm learning in the cooking classes, that would be great.
Yeah.
But and if you said it was free, that would be even better because I can't obviously afford even my housing right now. So would be.
I don't know much about eligibility for the program, but I do know that you need to be. You do need to be sober for it, so it is going to need to be a little bit further down the road. But I can definitely get you the information for it so that you can look into that a little bit further down the road. And you might even look into doing some kind of farm or gardening work for the time being, just so that you can get a basis going.
Right.
And you already have, bless you, you already have eligibility for that kind of work and the skills set for that, as well as having English skills now. So you might look into something like that for the short term. But in terms of housing and sobriety, I think that we've got some good, some really good goals set for you for that.
Yeah.
So, but in terms of your experience as a whole with our organization, how would you rate it? Do you have any suggestions or comments, constructive criticism, anything like that?
No, I think it's been pretty good. I am glad to hear about the 12-step program. I mean, I don't know if the staff just probably wasn't very educated on the 12-step program, but I'm very glad to hear about that. I think that's a very good program, and I'm excited to try that. And so far we've made so much progress. I mean, I was, at a very, very bad place. I didn't have any kind of semi-stable housing. I didn't have any kind of goals in my life. I just kind of given up and accepted where I was and who I was with and what I was doing is okay. And now I've got things to strive for and purpose in my life. And that was something that I came to America to, I came to America with so many dreams, and I just lost all sight of that. And now I have my dreams back and something to work for, and I just, I've still got a lot of things to tackle in my life and progress to make, but I know there is progress to be made now, and that is something I didn't have before. So I'm very happy with the program. And I think you're a good asset to them as well, because you have a lot of knowledge. I mean, I've learned a lot, today, and there's a lot that I can do, and I'm just very satisfied, and I'm happy this program is available to people.
I'm so glad to hear that. That makes me so happy to hear that you're happy with with where you've come, and that you feel like the future is attainable now.
Yes,
as opposed to before.
Yes,
so
it's been a very interesting, long, hard-working process, but I think it's good.
That's great to hear. I'm so glad to hear that. Well, I have put my contact information and the organization's contact information on that handout with all the other stuff for Housing First and NA and AA.
Yes.
And would it be okay with you if I followed up in a few months and checked to see how you're doing?
Yeah, that would be good.
Okay.
You might have more resources.
I might, and I also, depending on where you're at and how you're doing and how much closer you are to being ready for that cooking program, things like that. That might be more of an option at that point in time, and I could potentially hook you up with some more resources for that as well at the time. So.
Yes, that would be great. I would love a follow-up. I always think that's good. So.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah. Well, if you ever need anything at all, please don't hesitate to give us a call and let us know. And,
well, thank you.
And I look forward to seeing how you're doing in the near future.
Yeah, me too. Thank you so much.
Thank you.